Hi there. I'm Matthew Woolley. Most of you will not know me, but by the end of this, I can guarantee you will have learned something. Now, those of you who don't know me, which is going to be all of you, don't know that I actually do magic, and I prefer to do it with playing cards. Now, playing cards are a lot like the 4 basic cooking molecules. You have your 4 basic suits. You have your spades, your clubs, your hearts, and your diamonds. Or, in this case, what we're going to call them, you have your water, your fats, your carbohydrates, and your proteins. Now, we're going to start with water. Water is important because when we use it in cooking, it's not just the fact that we're using it in cooking. It also makes up everything that we cook. Now, since we're using water in cooking for this part, I'm just going to go ahead and touch on this. Heating up water puts a lot of energy into it. That energy will cause a slight temperature change, but after that, that energy stays in that water until you transfer it into the food. Alright. With that being said, let's touch on our fats. So, sorry, I can't remember where I was going with this. There are 2 forms of fats. There are oils, and there are solid fats. Now, the scientific term for a fat is a triglyceride. This just means it's got 3 parts, basically. Yeah. Fats. I don't know what my thing's doing. Hold on a second. Alright. It's good. Triglycerides are made up of carbons and hydrogens. So, they get bonded together. And that seems to be the only fact about fats I have. That's a bit weird, but, let's go with it. Next up, we have our proteins. Proteins do everything, including in your body. They are responsible for the color of your hair, the color of your eyes, the way you make a fist, what your hair looks like, how your skin feels, how your skin looks, all that. In us, there are 9 essential proteins that we can make. The rest of them we have to get from another source, generally food. The best place to get these proteins is in the chicken egg, specifically the egg white. When we eat it, we absorb the protein really well. That's why it's one of the best for us to get our proteins from. And moving on to the last section, we have our carbohydrates, right? Yes. Carbohydrates are basically big chains of sugar. They consist of 6 oxygens and 6 hydrogens, and they are more commonly referred to as glucose, which, as I said, is sugar. So, that is our 4 basic cooking molecules. Oh, and I know what you're wondering. This doesn't look like a kitchen, does it? You're right. This is my bedroom. I decided to record all of this part before I even start cooking. But when I get to my kitchen, I will show you everything that I have going for me. Alright? Now, the next thing we're going to touch on is cooking methods and utensils. For starters, what causes the browning of food? Well, the browning of food happens because each molecule reacts differently to heat. Well, yeah. That's basically why food browns. My next point I've already touched on, but I'm going to go in a little bit more in depth. We're going to talk about carbs one more time. We'll probably talk about them a lot more. Carbs are a chain of sugar molecules, very big. When they are heated, they go through a combustion reaction. So we essentially are burning the carbohydrates and changing the flavor into something better, which helps our food. yeah. Next up, we have amino acids. They have similar bonds as carbohydrates. When we cook them, when they are combined with carbohydrates, they create new flavor compounds. This is more commonly referred to as the Maillard. Yeah, you get it. The Maillard reaction. Which, yeah. Sorry, I'm not good with pronunciation, so sorry about that. For those of you who are triggered and screaming, "It's this," or "It's this!" Sorry. I'm not the greatest at pronunciation. There are 3 ways to get energy into the food so that we can break the bonds and create the new flavor compounds. There's conduction, convection, and radiation. Conduction is a direct heat source that gives the most browning of foods, a very highly intense way of cooking. It's a harsh cooking method, but it's the best. Yeah, personally, it's one of the best for me. That's how I prefer to cook all my food. Now, you're wondering, well, so far this has all just been about cooking methods. We're going to get to the utensils right now. In the world of cooking, there are ceramics that are made of porcelain, glass, or Pyrex. These take a little while longer to heat up, but they hold heat for a long time. They are the best for soft cooking methods. Now, since we touched on ceramics, there are also metals. Metals are metal. They heat up quick, but they cool down really quick. Not really quick, but quicker than ceramics. Most people prefer metal, while a lot of people also prefer ceramics. Personally, it just depends on what I'm making. Alright. Now we're going to touch on some of the things that are going to be in what I'm cooking. This is going to be chicken parmesan, because it's what my parents wanted for dinner, and I figured why not knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. You get it. So we're going to start with eggs. Now, the egg white inside the egg, this consists of 3 different proteins. Inside the yolk, there's water, there are fats, and there are proteins. And cholesterol. Or, yeah, proteins are called cholesterol inside of it. Sorry. The 3 proteins inside the egg white are the ovomucin. Sorry if I mispronounced that. That's the thick egg white. Thick. The second is the ovobellum. Sorry. As of right now, we don't 100% know what that does inside the egg, but we can accredit it for creating the awful rotting smell of the egg. Yeah, you know, that god-awful smell that no one likes. Yeah. And finally, we have the ovotransferrin. I think that's the only one I've pronounced right so far. This is responsible for grabbing onto the iron molecules. It is also a guard against bacteria getting inside the egg, which is a very good thing because it keeps you from getting sick. Sorry. Every egg has small little holes all over it. These are used for when there's actually a chick inside. It allows oxygen to go inside so that the little baby chick does not suffocate. It's pretty cool, actually, for nature doing it. When you're cooking eggs, you are slowly unfolding the proteins, and it's unblocking parts that give you... I don't know where I'm going with this. My fact right here is very weird, so we're actually going to skip over that. Inside the yolk is fat. These fats are scattered all around inside the egg yolk. When you cook it, you are cooking the individual grains of that fat. That's what gives you the graininess. That's what gives you graininess in your eggs when you cook it too fast. So cooking it slowly will definitely help prevent that. Alright, the next subject we're going to talk about is meat. Now, meat is going to bring back into play 3 of our molecules. Because you see, meat consists of about 75% water, 20% proteins, and 3% fats. Now, I know what you're saying. That is only 98%. There is this small little section, about 2% of carbohydrates, but there are so few of them we don't really talk about that. Inside these muscle cells are connective tissue and fat cells. Muscles only energy source is fat. Sorry, I just got out of school, so my brain's a little because muscle's only energy source is fat, because fat is the most energy dense cell. So it provides a lot of energy for the muscle. In meat, there are 2 kinds. Well, 3 technically, because you can get a combination of these 2. There's red meat and there's white meat. They are basically the same makeup. The only difference is what they are meant to do. Red meat are the way they are because of protein called myoglobin. This causes red meat to hold its red. This makes red meat red. It holds its oxygen. Red meats are usually the ones that are used a lot more, whereas white meat is designed for quick, short bursts of energy, like a chicken when it flaps its wings. You'll notice that it doesn't actually fly. It comes off the ground a little bit, but it does not actually manage to leave. It kind of just flies and then comes back down to get away from whatever it was running from. So, there's that. Now let's talk about why we cook meat. The reason we cook meat is because we want to be safe about it. Bacteria love what the meat is made of on the inside, so it goes to that very quickly. So that's the main reason that we cook it, is just to be safe. The second reason, and this is big for everybody, because you got to be able to eat, we need to be able to chew it. So, you got to cook it so you can chew. Obviously. The third reason is because we need to digest it. When we cook it, we're pre-digesting without it actually going into our system yet, which makes it a little bit easier for us to digest after we've cooked it and eaten it. The fourth reason, and this is huge, flavor. Everyone needs flavor, right? Come on. Now, we're going to move on to something that a lot of people enjoy. Edible plants. Personally, not a big fan of fruits and vegetables. I'll eat the occasional apple, some grapes, but obviously you can tell that because I'm a fatty. Anyways, plants are mega healthy for us. As humans, we strive for an adequate diet. Most of us, not me. This diet needs to fulfill our basic nutritional needs. Meats and grains are great for that. Okay. An optimal diet consists of fruits and vegetables, which have phytochemicals. These are plant chemicals that are anything that comes from a plant, like vitamin C and beta carotene. Ooh, I pronounced that one right. Thank you. Basically, the darker a plant is, the better it is for you. Most plants are sensitive to enzymes, which are in the world, and they're also sensitive to enzymes that are in their own cells, believe it or not. And when you break the cell, that's what causes the fruit and vegetable to brown. Yeah. Alright. That seems to be all my notes. So, we're gonna take a quick cut, and I'll see you in my kitchen.